Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Tactical Beav and Your podcast. Alex and I are finally back in the office after hurricane evacuations. So we talk about some of the trials and tribulations associated with living on the coast and dealing with hurricanes, different mindsets associated with all that kind of stuff, amongst many other things. But some really good topics, really good conversation here to listen to. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Yummy.
I don't think I've ever heard you say yummy.
I don't know why I said yummy, but what's up? How's it going? All the things are good?
We're tired. I've been getting over. I think you got like spring allergies. I think there's a fall allergy. There must be. I'm not an expert on it, but like literally like a week ago, it was like someone just hit me in my face with all the allergies with whatever's dropping or whatever. Now that
I get that weird
out of
sometimes
summer,
too.
But so it's just like fog, and I'm trying to overcome it with coffee.
It's working.
Which I do anyways, but then I just drink more and
add
then,
an extra layer on top of it.
Exactly, and then I'm like, I don't know why I'm shaking. I'm like, I do know, but so we're trying to overcome that. So my kids finally are back in school.
Yeah, so
that was the longest summer ever.
It's been tough. Well, not only that, but they should have been in school a week ago, but then we had a hurricane.
No, actually,
it was on time.
It was one of those like we had the hurricane, and it was like literally if this
drags out any longer.
It's like I was seeing the selfish sort of mindset.
I was thinking
like,
they were supposed to
if
start
this messes
Tuesday.
up going back to school,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we got very fortunate, obviously getting spared while others did not, but that just threw a whole wrench in.
The whole hurricane screwed me up so bad, which is why I think I'm like finally in like a good mood today. Like I've been grumpy for 2 weeks. Like the whole hurricane thing just throws a wrench in the gears for everything we got going on. And
well, not to mention then, what are you doing with the family? And then the extent,
Well, that's just part of it, right? Like first it's the leading up to it. And it's like my wife is like the ultimate storm tracker. She loves that stuff. She's got her little plot chart and she's plotting every latitude, longitude, and tracking this thing for every hurricane, every season. It's like exhausting because that's all I hear about for an entire season every year. But she's obsessed with it. It's like she studied that kind of stuff. She loves that stuff. So she's all about it. I told her she should start a weather channel of some sort and just talk about it because it's like interesting.
The Mike's
she's
weather
smart.
page?
Yeah, like Mike, but like she knows what she's talking about. She's no dummy. And anyway, so it's like leading up to it.
You hear about it.
Well, I hear about it long before anyone else does. So I'm already hearing about the storm. And then it's like, and then I mention it to a few people, even to you. You're like, that storm ain't coming here, And then it's like, oh crap, that thing's actually coming this way. Like we need to.
Well,
so then everybody's on high alert.
We grew up on Hilton Head for 30 plus years,
which by the way is like Savannah, Georgia, like southern tip of South Carolina.
And for 30 plus years we had like 5 evacuations. We got hit, like we got lucky with Hugo. It kind of wobbled up and
it still did some
Charleston.
damage though.
Yeah, but like from a direct hit. But otherwise it was always like the scare and then it hit North Carolina.
We're in this little pocket that's always got this little like just skims by
like
us.
The Gulf Stream and the way the winds push off the coast. It like in North Carolina sticks out so much farther than us. It was like it would always come and then it'd be like, well, it's close enough. Like with especially our family was like we got enough kids. Like this is my dad. Like let's just evacuate, right? So it was like you go to Augusta, you go to like somewhere inland, and it occurs and hits. But you still had to do the evacuation process. It was like I swear it was like 4 or 5 times is all I like truly remember. And then the past 4 years we've done it 3 times, and actually been hit with 2.
Right.
Which is just kind of
with like big devastation.
Yeah,
like
which is just crazy from the standpoint of like you go 30 plus years where it's like, like you said like, oh, that ain't hitting us because, well, historically speaking, like, we've never had to like. We've been very fortunate with the
and
these
have been like some big storms recently too these last few years. Things ain't like just little tropical storm could become a hurricane.
And so you don't know, like obviously the destruction down in the Bahamas is just heartbreaking because like
it's crazy.
Obviously like there's never been a hurricane that just like stopped and then just destroyed one place for like 24 hours. Not to mention it being basically like a category like a F4 tornado or something is what it was like equated to. Like you had
it was
some
like
major
tornado
just sitting over
there.
An island for.
Have you seen that
hours.
model? Like I saw a satellite view over like days. and it was like and it just it shows like in fast forward, you know, it shows it moving over and then goes to the Bahamas and it just sits there and spins. And then it starts moving on again. It was I was like, holy.
Yeah, I've never. I mean,
it's
obviously
crazy.
Nothing has ever happened like that. Not to mention
In our lifetime,
the power of it. But again, then it runs up the coast. Like I think was it Matthew that did the same like North Florida coast up.
Mm-hmm.
Not Irma.
Very similar track to Matthew.
But anyways, for those listening, it's just like we've always been so
lucky.
fortunate to not have to
We're in this
get
little
the little
pocket where it
scares,
scoots
and
by
it
us.
always just seems to hit Wilmington or Cape Hatteras and the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
Well, yeah, well, I mean,
which it did.
It scoots up into Charleston, Myrtle Beach, gets wrecked a lot.
Yeah, but it's like we're always very, very lucky. But the dynamic changes when you got kids.
It does,
especially
totally.
little ones.
And and there's a lot of I've been very hard headed in the past. Brandy takes it a lot more seriously because she's had loss from hurricanes with the boat and things like that. So it hits a little closer to home for her, and she takes it more seriously. But she's also just into that kind of stuff. Me being a dude, and like I've always been like, well, I'll take you. I don't need to leave. I'll be fine. All that stuff. But
tie me to a palm tree. I'll ride it out.
yeah, but it takes some of the young guys that have the ability to help other people to kind of stick around and help other people. Because if everybody, there's a lot of people that are just like, I'm not leaving. And then someone unfortunately has to go help that person if they need to be helped, and it takes some people that are also too dumb to leave, but have the ability to help other people.
Yeah, as long as you don't, as long as you don't then struggle with.
What's silly about the whole thing though is like how many people are like, well, I gotta, if it starts to flood, I gotta save my house. Like, what are you gonna do?
Unless you
or
got
if
a lot
a tree
of sandbags.
falls on your roof and comes through your house, like so many did here, what are you gonna do? Pick the tree up and put a new roof on your house? Just like you're screwed.
And you're not going out there when the storm is happening to put a tarp up. Like
No.
maybe the next day, but
like you're not going to prevent much of anything. A lot of times you just end up getting in the way or whatever.
yeah, like first responders are trying to rescue you as opposed to someone else.
Right. It's
Because again, I mean, obviously it's very expensive to evacuate.
It is.
for a lot of people too.
and not to mention how the pain in the ass of like trying to get a hotel room while the rest of the state is trying to get a hotel room like in the same distance away, and then
If you got
rooms are
if you got
booked and
animals,
Airbnbs
like, what
are
are you gonna
booked.
do? What are you gonna do with animals? You got to find hotels or Airbnbs that accept pets, and then me having the little kids, it's like trying to take all the the outside furniture that could go be a projectile to my neighbors. You want to put them inside your garage, do all that. So it's like you got these kids cooped up, and you're like, well, get out of
It's
my
just-
way. I'm trying to carry everything. So it's
crazy. So it
It's
screws
just
up.
adds a whole
It
nother
screws
dynamic.
up like a week before because everyone's tracking this thing. Is it going to come here? Is it going to not? And then it's kind of in the
Go
back of
get
your
gas,
mind.
do
It's
not
a
get-
big distraction. Yeah, you're trying to do all the prep stuff. Thankfully, I did a lot of prep stuff like slightly before that because I knew we were coming to hurricane season, and I've just gotten smarter over the years. Like, let me go buy the things I need to buy before everyone else is like in a rush to buy them. That way, I don't have to deal with that. I just have to deal with my immediate things that I need to deal with at my house, and I'm not trying to get gas and batteries or this or that or whatever, water. Like that was all bought, thankfully. But yeah, it just screws with your mind for like that days leading up to it, and you're like, all right, if we have to evacuate, these are all the things I got to do. Meanwhile, you're trying to work, and we're trying to run a business, we're trying to do things, and da 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 da. And then it starts to look like, holy smokes, it's going to come here. We're going to have to actually start to evacuate. And then we had Labor Day also, which was like a day that we were shut down in the office on top of this hurricane situation. And then everyone's in the office trying to get some things prepared, and we're trying to like secure servers and stuff like that so that, God forbid, we get flooded or a tree comes through or the roof blows off. We got their servers, which our entire business lives on.
Yeah.
It's like camera gear so that we can be up and operating wherever, like just whatever, So we're all trying to secure that kind of stuff. And then where are we going to go if we need to go? And then it's like, thankfully I have a brother in Colombia. So I'm like, well, I'll take the dogs and the cat and kids and all this crap. We'll go to Colombia because it's out of the path of this storm. They've been hit in Colombia before. Yeah. So
sometimes
that's not always an out for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can get flooded like with the rivers and everything else just as much.
What was the last hurricane last season we had? Was a big scare
I
that
think that was Irma.
Irma. Yeah. You're right. I have a vlog on that. I just watched it because I was trying to put a video together. But
Irma.
it was Irma, and I was trying to get an Airbnb in like Tennessee. It was how far out I had to look to like find something available. It was outrageous. I was like, oh my God. I don't think we left. We ended up staying for that. But yeah, when you have kids and you have all that stuff changes, and the whole being cooped up, and like it sucks. So it's like, well, it's easier for me to just leave and get everyone out of the house, and we can go enjoy our time elsewhere instead of staying in the house and being stuck in the house and having to deal with what if
the other
this
thing is,
hurricane
like,
comes.
you know, like you were saying, like if a tree does come through and you got little ones, it's like, okay, like stay over in the corner.
Yeah, now
you know
you're
how
trying
well
to-
that looks, you know,
Yeah.
like our works. It's like, it's just,
Now you're trying to secure people and deal with a tree problem. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Buy insurance. It's easier said than done. It gets expensive. A lot of people can't even get hurricane and flood insurance if it's like high risk, or they're paying through the nose for
paying
it.
through the nose for it. And the other thing is you can't, if you don't have it, they don't issue. There's usually a 30-day waiting period, and
Right.
then they only issue it when there isn't an
Storm.
actual storm.
Right.
So just anyone who's, and surprisingly enough, just because I just renewed all my stuff, it's like even in places where you don't think you normally get flooded, if they were telling me, like, if you're like, let's say your sprinkler system like breaks and you're gone and it like floods into your house, that's actually considered like, it's not covered by your wind and hail. That'd actually be covered by flood because it's rising water.
I mean,
So it's like, if you don't have flood insurance,
like
and like you could
asinine.
actually get, be paying through the nose to like, replace stuff just on like water coming into your home, even if you're not in an area that isn't prone to flooding.
It's so
Go
crazy
figure.
to me. All that stuff.
Go
It just
figure.
blows my mind.
They find a way to protect themselves and get their money.
Yeah.
But if you need it and you have it,
It is nice.
all of a sudden it's
Well, here's
helpful.
the other thing: is the deductible for hurricanes thing goes through the roof too.
Mhm.
It's like not your typical deductible anymore. It's like $20,000 or something.
Yeah, and like that's what a lot of people around here got hurt with. They weren't paying as much in their property insurance because they didn't pay attention that their deductible was like 10% of the home value as opposed to like a 2% or something.
Right.
So if you have $100,000 worth of damage, you're coming out of pocket $20,000, even though you had insurance.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You got to pay attention to that stuff.
Moral of the story: look
Moral of
into
the
your
story is like pay attention to your property insurance if you and just anywhere. You never know. We lived in Charlotte for a while. Go figure. Like they actually have been hit with earthquakes. Like they're like 20
we're
years ago.
on
or
like a
something.
fault line here.
20
in
years ago. Yeah,
Charleston.
Charleston's a big one.
Crazy.
Like you would never think that
It's coming
I'm
one
in
day.
Charlotte. Like I don't need earthquake insurance.
Yeah. Apparently you do.
Apparently.
I'm like I don't know anything about earthquakes. I
just-
don't know anything about fault lines, but I know that we're on that one that
Yeah,
runs through Charleston.
Yeah, there was a
And
huge
it's
one in
like-
like 100 years ago. It
feel-
supposedly happens every 100 years too.
So yeah, I was gonna say I feel like we're due for something.
I think we're
it's
like over it by. I want to say it was like, shoot.
I'm not even
19,
gonna
20
pretend
Because
to
I went
know.
to school in Charleston. I want to say it was in like the 20s or something. But anyways,
Great.
yes,
So
we're
all gonna
on
fall
a big
apart.
fault line, and it happens like every. Maybe it was like 1904, but anyways,
Whatever. Scary. I feel like we're overdue in the world for lots of things. Like
It's like, oh well, you'll move here, and then you have like tornadoes. You move here, you got earthquakes. You move here, you got hurricanes.
I was thinking
Like,
about that recently.
Move
of,
somewhere
like,
else, you got blizzards. I
I was thinking about that, just like dreaming while I was evacuating. Of like, man, it'd be really cool to have like a little, on the way up to Asheville, there's the Blue Ridge log cabin homes that they have on the side of the road. There's that really cool like modern looking one, and I was like, man, it'd be really cool to have like go buy like a little piece of property in the hills and like put one of these things up there, like just dreaming as I'm driving. I'm like, man, it'd be so cool. And then I was like, well, is there anywhere around here that's like not susceptible to like natural disasters like that? Like where could I put one within like a half decent driving distance to where if I had to evacuate or leave because of hurricanes or a tornado came and ripped this place apart and I had to go move somewhere for a little while, or earthquakes, or like, is there anywhere? I don't know. I've never really looked into it, but it was one of my mindless like thoughts as I was driving. It'd be cool.
I wasn't able to have mindless thoughts on my 5-hour drive to Asheville because my kids were just losing their mind.
Wouldn't that be cool though? To like, I mean, your in-laws have a cool spot, that you kind of have a little bit of a getaway for that. But,
Yeah, I'm very lucky in that regard.
I would love to because property up that way isn't that expensive. Like I feel like
it would
a
depend.
10-year plan is a feasible option to like buy a little spot up there that's kind of tucked away and put
It
one
all
of those
depends.
like,
It all depends on like getting a little sidebar here, because I was actually asking about it when I was up there. It's like
Right.
you can buy like a piece of property that's relatively inexpensive. That might be acreage, but if it's on a hillside, then it's kind of weird because it's not
Right.
usable. But then do you actually have the road access? Do you have the septic tank? Do you got the well?
Power
Like
and
all
all
of a sudden,
that.
when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
add in all that,
But surely
you buy
there's
something
places that have,
inexpensive,
like,
and then you tack on an extra
all the money
50, 100
to
grand
make
to
it a
just
place to
get a
livable.
road up there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
I'd like
anyways.
to do that.
Needless to say, we got safe, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of planning that's involved with
Right,
kids,
which
trying
is
to
where
evacuate
this is
and-
kind of coming back to my yummy
and,
statement, because I'm fine. I feel like I'm fine. And then when we get back, and it's like, okay, now you get to play catch up, and finally get the kids back in school and some normalcy, and then like today finally.
Ooh, that's what so my neighbor's a teacher, and I was like, so what was it like, the Monday after? She was like, it was like the first day of school again, because you finally, like,
Everyone's
these
wound
teachers finally got these kids in like a routine for the past 3 weeks, and then it just all went to the heck.
Yeah.
And now it's like reset, trying to get them, because they just had 4 days, actually a full week, so 5 days off of just going back into summer mode. And so I was like, oh, those poor teachers.
Yeah, I was
For all the
literally
teachers listening,
at
God
the end of
bless.
the week. I was literally angry, like, and I don't really ever get angry, but for me to take an entire week off unplanned. I've talked about this before, and especially with my working out and all that kind of stuff. Like, I just have to be in the right mindset to do certain things. I can't switch gears as quickly as I used to, because I always did like micro tasks.
Yeah.
I was always like, I gotta fix this car, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that, and like small things that, like, if it didn't get done, like, it'll be there tomorrow. But now we're thinking very high level. Like, we have to really get some of that like seclusion to really think of at the level that we need to think these days. So for me to like just switch gears really screws me up, and more I have to be in the right mindset.
So that's
to do certain
interesting
things.
to me. So because we kind of kid that I'm not as much of like a quote like flexible parent, meaning we're at some friend's house and it's 7:30. It's like, no, we got to go. We're putting the kids to bed. Like, I'm not gonna hang out till 9, 10 o'clock. Whereas you might be more flexible on like, I'll just keep them out till 10 and then put them to bed. Like that's where I get anxious and draw the line. But so I've always just had a mindset for you of being much more flexible in that regards. But it's interesting for you to basically, as it relates to almost work, you're flexible in the sense that as long you're having to get stuff done throughout the day from a kind of like a work
On a
perspective.
day-to-day, yeah.
But if you get thrown off to where it's like, no, you're just not going to work on a Tuesday and you'd planned it, like that's where you go into Alex mode. And
I get so anxious when there's things that like I have to do this, and like there's 50 things preventing me from doing that, and like it really screws with me. So it's been really interesting, and I haven't always been that way either. We just have so much on our plate, and my list of things to do is just so long that every thing that prevents that, like something else gets added to it, and then the list just keeps growing. It's all really important stuff, and I'm like, how in the world? And then I just get anxious, and then like several days later, and I hadn't, like, even at my brother's house, when we evacuated, we get to my brother's house, I never even got my laptop out of my car. It was because they weren't evacuated up there. Like, my brother and his wife are at work, the kids are at school. So now I'm just cooped up in their house with the kids.
Normal day for them.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. To me, like, I hadn't even crossed my mind that the kids, the cousins would be at school. I'm like, okay, cool. The cousins can play. They can entertain themselves. I'll be able to get back to work. This will be great. Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, who are you trying to fool, bro? Like, I never even got my computer out of the bag. I never even get my bag out of the car. Yeah. Like, never happened. So it was like a complete week off, unplanned. I don't do well with vacations. We've talked about this before. Like, I just was not in the right mindset. So I come back. I'm trying to get things done. I'm still a little grumpy. At one point, I threw my phone against the wall because the kids and the dogs and my wife, everybody's like, beef, daddy, I'd pay attention to me kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm just trying to work. I threw my phone against the wall. I was just angry. And anyways, it got ugly. But now I'm finally like, I'm chipper this morning. You notice my attitude. I'm back to like, Beav's in the house.
What kind of coffee did you not bring me? Is what I'm thinking about.
Did you do an 8-ball this morning? What are you doing, bro? No, but yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, all right, back in the right mindset. I got some things checked off the list yesterday. I've got a few more things today, and I'm gonna be like,
that's what
in my happy place, and like back to
this past week has given me some reflection on getting back. Because the list keeps piling up. It's like, all right, which is just life, right? You do something, then the school calls, and you got to go pick up your kid, right? Or excuse me. Mm-hmm. Like there's always just life that always throws you these curveballs. But trying to get back to like, kind of like. You still are in charge of your own time. At least thankfully we are in particular. So it's like there's a lot of things that seem like priorities that do eventually need to get done. But if there's something else that I guess is more pressing, it's more about blocking it off and just doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to like reset myself on, where it's like I got 1,000 different mini tasks that need to be done, but I've been pushing off this one major task for about a week now. It's like everything else can go up in flames, right? Because like this just has to get done. So just trying to reset the priorities there like to just
priorities. Things that have a priority, like it's constantly shifting around. Something's going to pop up. It's going to be more important.
And again, there's also, I think social media and the American capitalist American culture in general prides itself on a lot of people seemingly looking busy. Maybe not accomplishing much, but seemingly looking busy. And then that translates into how you feel just by kind of being around and absorbing it. It's like secondhand smoke. Like you just kind of like breathe it in a little bit where you're like, well, I didn't get 400 things done.
I didn't hustle that hard.
So why didn't so I must be a failure. I'm frustrated at my day because I didn't get 400 things done. And that was me yesterday, but I was like, well, no, I had an hour and a half conversation with someone on this major project that we discovered some great like issues that we had to overcome. It was good to discover those. It was an hour and a half, and I was like, man, like I needed to get all these other things done this hour and a half, but yet like I moved the needle on the project.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you take a step back and you start to realize that like you're constantly bombarded by all this information that makes you feel like you have to do 1,000 things every day. Even being a parent, like, well, I got to get them in this sport and that sport and move them here and take them here. It's like you almost got to overschedule for your kid, where it's like just like everyone, like we don't have to do 900 things. Like the kid can sit and be bored for a day, you know what I mean,
right.
or an hour. And same with the parents, like just taking a second to breathe and not almost judging yourself because it feels like you have to do 900 things in a day or you didn't have a successful day.
Right. That's been a huge struggle for me, has been that whole like so many meetings. Like I don't feel like I get anything. To me, a meeting feels so unproductive, yet it's very productive because we make some decisions on things, we delegate some things, and then things get done. But in that time, I'm like, why am I sitting here talking to 4 people right now, and I could be doing something? It could because I'm such a doer and a maker, and like for me, in my mindset as like somebody that creates things, like whether that was fixing a car, building a new car, making a video, taking a picture, creating a product, like I ended with something tangible. I fixed this, I made this happened.
See, I never had that. Like that's why I get so much enjoyment out of like pulling leaves, like scooping leaves out of a pool because there's leaves in the pool, and then when you're done, there's no leaves in the pool,
right?
Because everything's always been just something abstract.
So for me to go from that to like, oh, I'm just gonna reply to some emails and tell a few people that this needs to get done so that I can do this, and then that was my day. I feel like my head's gonna explode. I have to do something.
You need to get the shovel and dig.
Which is why, like, Ryan's been instrumental because now he's handling all the emails, and I don't have to deal with emails, and I can make another video, or I can work on a new baby carrier, or I can do this, or I can do that, and that's just how I am. That's how I'm wired. I got to do things with my hands.
I mean, though with meetings,
I don't.
We never came from anywhere where you had all those meetings, so I think meetings can be a complete waste of time if it's not set up kind of, if you don't have very specific task in mind of what you're trying to accomplish. Because I couldn't imagine being in some of those other corporate meetings where it just seems like people like to talk to get their point out to say that they talked, and it's like,
right.
Well, you just wasted an hour of my life. Thank you.
Well,
but
if you don't have those tasks, you can get like you and I will go, like we'll be on a trip, we end up in a hotel, and we could talk for. We've done it where we've talked for 2 days, but no real time. Like, hey, let's just talk.
Yeah.
Let's just things that you and I need to do on a high level business thoughts of like, let's just vomit our brains out and see where this goes. But that could literally happen for 2 days if you don't have a task. And like so many meetings could be done in 15 minutes. It's like, hey, this is what we need to make a decision about this, and then we're moving on.
Yep.
Could be done.
Well, and everything is just so intertwined that it's hard to separate it, but
it's nuts. I struggle with that stuff. I wonder what these guys think. they're listening to our conversation. And I sometimes I forget. It's like, it's almost just like me. I mean, it is just me and you talking, but these other guys get to listen.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. Be curious to know.
Do you have
how some of
any,
you
so
guys feel.
speaking of, you got any
I forgot to do a dad joke. Dude, I got the best one ever on YouTube. Hold on. I got to find it. Shout out to, I'm going to give a shout out. This one was funny. I hope it's as funny as I remember because I'm really building it up right now.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's like, and then you completely butcher the
funny thing on the beginning of this episode was me saying there's something was yummy. Oh, here we go. This is from Ruben Robinson. They said, what do you get when you cross a hippie with a ninja? Peace and quiet. That was funny. That was a good one. So funny.
When you were younger, did you want to be like a ninja?
Hell yeah, dude. Here's what's funny. Ask John. You guys met John in the last episode, my personal trainer. We always, on like leg day, he always has me doing these crazy balance things to work, I don't know. Stabilizer muscles really small, like, and it just like work shit you don't normally work. And like, I'm always doing like these one leg standing on a bubbly ball thing, trying to balance and like lifting a leg. And I feel like I'm in the ninja position.
Like the flying,
the thing, whatever, you know? And so like, since that was like day 3 of working out, like first time we did legs. And then since then I'm like, dude, I'm a ninja. Like, he's like, oh man, you're doing good. He's like, that's a record, you know? I'm like, well, I'm a ninja. What do you expect? And I tell my kids all the time I was a ninja when I was a kid.
What were those?
So hell yeah,
these like just the lamest, like series of like kid ninja thing. But like this was
the Three Ninjas.
Yeah,
dude, that was my favorite movie.
I know,
ever.
dude. Whenever they came out, I was like, I'm gonna put on my like black belt and go kick some butt.
I was a ninja.
But it never happened. I never did any of the karates or the.
Yeah, I did. My dad was a karate instructor, with Nikki Puffenberger. They were both, and then I'm trying to remember who else. We did taekwondo.
Was that the like
sport?
Yeah, I was trying to think of like the like.
That was like
name. But
well, here's what's funny. I can tell you, it was on Thursday nights, and then after that, we would go to TCBY Yogurts in Park Plaza. Like, I remember it so clear. It's so funny.
So you did taekwondo just to get yogurt?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's cool.
No, my dad's like a junk food junkie.
I was just at a wedding and in PA, and I didn't like. There's a buddy of mine who was up there, and like I didn't realize he's like 4th level black belt or something. But
he's a real ninja.
He like never talks about it, and I was like, oh. And he was talking about. It was kind of funny to hear him. It's like. Yeah, these like people that just like own their own gyms and then like I'm gonna test myself. Yep, self-passed. Now I get a new one. He's like making fun of all these some of these people, but like I didn't know all the different levels and all the real ninja stuff.
Yeah,
but,
I'm out of touch with any of that stuff anymore.
I was like, oh wow, you like so I shouldn't mess with you, huh? And he's like, probably not. I was like, okay, good to know. He's a very quiet, passive guy.
Yeah.
But
I made it to like a green belt or something at one point, but I was young, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I never got. I always talked about wanting to do it, and then I talked about wanting to do boxing, and then I got hit in the face. I was like, I'm good.
You're like, yeah, I don't think I'll put myself in that position. Thanks.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was fun though. I didn't really do traditional sports. I played baseball. I played soccer. Soccer I kind of did, and I just played. You know, I don't think. I mean, you were really good at soccer. I played baseball. I absolutely loved baseball.
See, so my nephew just like got to the age where he's doing his first like sports team. Like he did soccer, I think it was last year, but now doing baseball. So like I saw like the videos and stuff, and all I could think about is like, oh man, it's like 4:00 in the afternoon, about 100 degrees.
You
got
go to
mosquitoes and gnats, and you're hanging out watching kids run around in bases. I'm like, how did my parents do this?
Yeah.
Because it's super
baseball.
fun for the kid. It looks miserable for the parent.
Right.
Obviously, you're proud of them when they accomplish stuff, but I just was like, man, that's going to be
for
me
us,
like
it
in the
was
next
Barker
year
Field.
or two. I'm going to be like, maybe you should go fishing with your uncle. Why don't you just go fishing with your uncle this weekend? That'd be great. You know, thankfully,
do some indoor activities.
Their uncles are big fishermen and hunters, so it's like, why don't you go do that with them? and then I won't. No, like I'm obviously very involved, but like
Yeah.
I just saw those videos and I was like, I got to get mentally prepared for that.
I know. That was how I felt with soccer. Like, it's fun to watch them play, but the problem is that like when Cameron did soccer and she was like 4 or something, it's just kids running around in circles. Yeah. It's like a big swarm of bees chasing a ball, and then there's like a bunch of like outliers, and they're just running in circles. They don't know what they're doing.
I mean, again, it's great to start teaching them that, like, competitive spirit and
teamwork
how to work
and
as
all
team,
that kind of stuff.
and you if you have to practice, and you gotta, like, you made a commitment, so we're showing up at 4:00 because that's what you do to get better, and so it's all good stuff and all teachable stuff. But man, I don't know how my mom and dad did that, because I did like the travel soccer too. So it's like every weekend my dad and mom gave up for the most part, like traveling 2+ hours away.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
watch
deal with
me,
that.
Watch me kick a soccer ball in the heat and then drive home.
I at least have that going for me. So gymnastics is an indoor sport. I mean, I've talked about it 1,000 times. Cameron and her gymnastics, and like we're coming up on competition season now through the fall. So we've got several weekends ahead of us of traveling and going. But that's cool, man. I love watching her do gymnastics. She's super good at it.
It's like, I guess I've never experienced watching, my kids like go and do something and like see them get something and kind of
chase a passion.
Run with it and like, oh, we taught him to hit this ball, and then he actually did it and ran to first base. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that's kind of, well, just like a baby. It's like you look at them and they smile at you. That makes up for the sleepless nights. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's the same thing, but when just being an outsider right now, looking at my future, it's like, wow, that just seems hot and sweaty.
Go buy some bug spray
and bug sprays.
And a fan.
Actually, I saw this. There's this product out there. I'd so do it just to be that guy. But it's literally like a pop-up little square tent. Looks like a little outhouse, but you put your chair inside it, and you like zip it up. So if it's like raining or downpouring, you're inside. So you're outside the elements.
That is like the definition of
and then,
Alex.
Like, I saw this guy had like a fan in there. I was like, man, this guy's pretty much pumping an AC in this thing. All these other parents are out there just like sweating, getting like bit up, and it's like sprinkling, and this cat just in his little box, just living life.
So funny.
That's hilarious.
That would be you.
No, man, you got Oh man, could you imagine the kids? Like, he's like, damn it, there's dad again. Like, it'd be one thing. It's like, and dad's wearing Tevas and socks,
God,
but no, it's like dad's wearing Tevas and socks inside the little square box.
Yeah,
like my dad's the weirdo.
So this happened last night. I picked Cameron up from gymnastics. I go home. I'm cooking her dinner. Brandy was at her friend's house with Kendall, and they were doing like a little girls' night, and they all had their kids over there, so they're like playing over at Tot's house, and I'm at home. I just picked up Cameron. We're cooking food anyway. She's like, "Mommy always embarrasses me in the morning." I'm like, "Do I ever embarrass you?" Because like I always want to be like the cool dad, you know. And she's like, "No." I was like, "Well, what does mommy do?" She's like, "She always like puts down the window when she drops me off at school and like tells me to tuck in my shirt or something." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not that bad."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Have I ever done anything to embarrass you?" You know? And she's like, "No, you're cool." I'm like, "Yes." And I'm like, and I said, I gave her an example of like, well, what if I like put down the window and said this or said that? And she's like, "No, that'd be cool." She's like, "But like, if you like put the window down and be like, 'Yo, Cameron, those are cool shoes,' like that'd be cool." I like died. It was so funny, dude. She's hilarious.
The things we do.
So funny. And then I was like trying to make up these very funny situations like, "Well, would you be embarrassed if I said this or said that?" Or like, "Hey, did you put on clean underwear this morning?" She's like, "Don't do that, please.
Don't do that."
I'm like, I'm 100% gonna do something like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. We've got some friends that like are constantly playing pranks and stuff. They do like a naughty and nice card. So like for for Christmas, like so for everyone gets the nice card, and then like select few get the naughty card.
Right.
Which is it's like one photo was like him and like so the husband, the dad is in like the family's doing like what looks like normal photos, and he's in like short jorts, you know what I mean? Just kind of being not like with no shirt on in the background, like again like that kind of just kind of being jokes, but they're always like always doing stuff just to like mess with their kids.
Gotta have fun.
Which is just hilarious to me. Like, but they're showing like there's one video. It's like the youngest one could just like run the house because they've been like they've been strict, but in like a good way with the older ones. And she's an adorable little girl. And like they'd be sitting there at dinner, and she's like kind of messing with them, like doing things that the older kids would always like get in trouble for. And they're like, "Man, you need to equal out your punishment, Dad." It's like I could never do that kind of stuff. And it's like, but she's being funny and cute, so they're like letting her get away with it. I'm like,
right.
I feel like that I'm gonna be like where it's like the youngest one can do whatever. I'm gonna be like beating up on the twins, but then just trying to embarrass them.
Yeah,
But
100%.
Like he had this like outfit, like what are those outfits where like they're like onesies but for adults now, like women wear them all the time, like jumpers or
Romper.
Romper,
yeah.
Jumpers. I don't shows you how big into fashion
It's like
I am.
a jumpsuit.
But like he
It's a
got
romper.
one for like when the pest guy came over, and it was like flat out like, so the kids are walking out and he walks out to like pick them up from school in it and just like constantly messing with them. They're like, "Dad," but
That's silly.
you got to have fun with your kids.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to like show up to gymnastics competition in like a adult onesie or something ridiculous.
You should there's some dad, I guess some video went viral, like every day from school he'd like constantly wearing some new like superhero outfit or something. So the kid gets off the bus and like his dad's and like dressed up as Batman, and then the next day it's something else.
Oh my gosh.
Like
I hope
you should just like one day like just put Cameron up and just be like in a Batmobile.
I took her to school in a limousine one time. That was pretty cool.
Oh, were you working on one?
Yeah, I was working on one, and
did you get out the back like Richie Rich? Remember that
dude?
movie?
I have
in the day?
videos. I had to dig those up where she like grabs the phone and she's talking on the phone in the back of the limo. But like I borrowed this limo, so I was working on the limo, and the owner was super cool. He's got a huge car collection. We took care of a bunch of his cars and stuff, and this was just kind of like a fun thing. He's just like they go out with their friends in it. It's like it's not like this crazy super fancy limo, but it's a limo. It's cool, and but he's like super wealthy, and he just bought it because it'd be like, oh, it's fun to like, I'll just take my wife and our friends out, and we'll just ride around town and go out to dinner in this because I can. Like, okay. Well, anyways, it was my birthday, and I'm like, hey Bob, it's my birthday. What'd you get me? He's like, oh, cool. He's like, you want to take the limo for the weekend? I'm like, hell yeah.
Of course I do.
As a matter of fact, I do. Thanks. So we took the limo for the weekend. I made Dan drive, and Bob even had the hat in there for the driver and everything. Like, this dude's awesome. And so like Dan like dressed the part. He put on a suit. He wore the hat. It was my birthday. We rode around. We got silly, and I kept picking up the phone. I'm like, driver, take me here. And I'd be like, never mind, take me here. And he just drove us around. We went to Savannah. Like, we were all over the place in the limo. It was awesome. Well, then come Monday morning, I needed to take it back to the shop for him to pick it up. And I was like, I'll take Cameron to school in the limo
you wear the
this
hat?
morning. I don't remember if I wore the hat. I don't recall. But that was pretty cool. She remembers that because it was like a big deal. And then, of course, everybody, like all the teachers and stuff at the school. This was actually back at the daycare. They were like, this is crazy. What?
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny. But yeah, I wish I was doing a vlog back then. I'm actually doing a vlog today that I haven't done in a while. For those of you watching, it's not a TBG vlog. I do a vlog on my personal channel. A lot of it has been business related in the past. If you guys are into business stuff or have a side hustle or whatever, and you want advice or you want encouragement and inspiration, like, go check that out. It's not a hard sell. Like, I'm not trying to make you go follow me, but if that's kind of what you're into, historically, it's been a lot of information about that. So you can go check that out on YouTube. Just search Beef Brody. I'll put a link in the description. But my vlogs now, I didn't do a vlog. I haven't done a vlog in a while. But now I really just want to document it for the sake of documenting it, for history, for like I was watching. I put together a mashup video recently, and I pulled a bunch of old footage of like me and the kids and all stuff. And during the hurricane, I had the servers at home, and I'm doing some file management. And I'm like finding all these old videos, and I'm like, I used to like document so many things just for the sake of documenting it, and then I got out of that, and I like felt like I had to make like some motion picture that had to be some magical thing, and that kind of got away from me. And then when we were busy, and like now I just want to have it all on camera, just because it's so cool to be able to look back, even if I never make a video that never hits the internet, but I have it to look at. It's so cool. So anyways, I don't remember where I was going. Oh, I wish I was like doing more vlogs and something back then to have like a real video to watch of like.
You think you got a video of the limo?
I'm almost certain. I know I have pictures of it. I'll have to dig them up.
It'd be hilarious to see Cameron back there.
1,000% I have it. I don't know.
That's got to be so cool. Like I was thinking about it. So when we evacuated, we went to like an apple orchard and was picking apples and apple donuts that were hot. Those were solid. But just like I just started dawning on me because you're passing these big tractors and stuff. Like how big the world must look to
a little kid.
So like. Little things like a limo or something to a little kid, like it just.
I bet it's
just
outrageous.
Sort of experience or what they see. I don't know. I was kind of reflecting on that while we were up there and
walking around. Yeah, I remember going to see like monster trucks as a kid, and like standing inside the wheel and tire of a monster truck, which to me at the time seemed so. I mean, they're still big, but like you could like stand up inside the wheel.
Yeah.
And you're like, everything's larger than life when you're that small. It's crazy, but I totally get that. I'll have to find it. I know I have pictures. I think the photo or the video that I have of her, she's wearing the hat in the back seat, like talking on the phone or something. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But yeah. Anyways, I wish I was doing more vlogs then, just to have it documented more. I mean, I have a lot of old videos that have like never seen the internet, but I have, that are cool. And I used to do these videos on this old flip cam. It was like before iPhones, it was like 2000. I was probably before iPhones, but before camera phones like were decent quality. And this, not that this other camera was any decent, but like I have videos of me talking to Cameron as if she was watching this when she's 13. I mean, like, hey Cameron, today's September whatever 2011. You're 3 weeks old, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and last night you kept me up all night, and like, why can't you just sleep? And just talking to her as if she's watching the video. And I forgot I did that, and I found all this stuff. I'm like, man, I can't believe I thought to do that, because she'll be able to watch it now. And then I showed it to her. She's like, that's so cool. She's like, oh my God, look how fat I was.
I've got 2 videos. You know me, I'm not really in the front of the camera guy or put much out there, but I don't know why, but like after the twins were born, because it was like 3:30 in the morning, so basically I had to like exit the operating room after cut the cords and all that sort of stuff. But so I had like kind of like 6 minutes alone, and all the emotions just running through your head.
It's crazy.
And so I filmed myself. I think it was for like a minute or something, talking to them, and I've never watched it.
Oh, really?
And
you should watch it. I bet it'll blow your mind, dude.
But like I don't know why. Cry. Like well, obviously I would. But I did that for Anders, but it was a little different because I knew that I needed to do that because like I wanted one for both of them. So I felt a little more staged probably, and I still haven't watched that one too.
It probably it's funny, right? Because you feel guilty, like, well, I did it for these guys. I need to do it.
Because it was just that raw first parent, and now there's 2 of them, kind of just emotion. Anders was so much an easier process. Just the in general. In general. But we did, it was like going at 7, baby born at 7:02. And I was like, what is happening? I was like, but anyways, I'd be intrigued because I kind of wanted to do that too without having to think about it. But I don't know. There's something about, I kind of like the fact that I haven't watched it. I don't know. I'm a weirdo in that regards. But anyways, I've got some of those videos that I think one day I'll send to them.
It's crazy.
Be like, hey, I've never actually watched this because I've got a recording of the first time during the ultrasound. I was actually overseas, and when we found out we were having twins, and so we're doing a FaceTime, and the wife's get the first ultrasound, her mom's there. It's like there's 1 heartbeat and there's 2, but for whatever reason I was like, I should record the audio on this FaceTime. And like, sure enough, like I've listened to that, but it's just cool to like hear that like raw emotion go back and forth. Like her dad's an identical twin, and you hear him driving down the road because he's like called in to hear how it's going. And it's like there's 2, and he's like, what? And you hear like, you hear the car like screech off to the side of the road because he's just like, I can't believe that there's 2. But
yeah, it's
anyways,
crazy.
It's cool looking back on some of that stuff.
I know you feel so silly a lot of times doing it, and you're like, I'm the dad recording Here's what sucks about it. I was the one holding the camera all the time, and I was watching all this, trying to find some old footage to use in this video we just put out. But there's so little photos or videos of me with the kids because Brandy's not one to grab the camera and take pictures or videos. So it's like Brandy and the kids, Brandy and the kids, Brandy and the kids, or just the kids. There's like literally very little of me and the kids, and now I'm pissed. So I'm making a better effort to do me and the kids stuff.
Got a bigger selfie stick now.
Because like
the
some
selfie
of the
stick didn't exist,
right?
Right. Little did you know.
I mean, I got my vlog camera with my big lens on it here that I can get us all in this one.
There you go. Times have changed.
Times have changed. Yeah, it's crazy. Actually, I'm going to set this up right now as we wrap up the vlog here in a few minutes. I'm sure.
Oh, you mean the podcast?
Oh yeah, podcast. What am I talking about? I don't know what's going on here. So those of you who are watching, don't mind the extra camera here. You'll enjoy it.
Set it up.
That way I can document this for my life that I feel like is so cool, but probably isn't. Oh goodness.
Good stuff.
Yeah, crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. What else? Before we wrap things up here, Alejandro.
I know. I've just been like to that point. I've just been kind of wondering. Obviously with phones, you document so much, but it's like, what are those little things that are actually would like could you do, or like you see a lot of people like on Pinterest and stuff. You're like, gosh, how did you have the mindset to think about that cool thing? Like I saw I think it was a video or photo where like some dad like wrote a sticky note or something to like a daughter like every day, during high school, like in her lunch or something, but then like somehow kept them and framed them and then gave them to her like as she went to school or something. Yeah, like that foresight. It's like, wow, that's like it's super cool. Super cool. But again, like what, like if you're into that, but there's certain things that I'm thinking of. Like
things I've seen of like you took a picture of your kid every single day of their life for 13 years or whatever, and then they make this like video of it, and you can see the kid like morph into who they are now, and it's like, how did you have the like thought?
Well, my thought is like more like, what
here's
would be
an idea
cool
what I'm gonna do.
You know what I mean? Like just to have, because like, you like we're definitely the ones that. And the wife more so, and I appreciate. I tend to hoard a little bit more than her, but it's like you're like, oh, there's your finger painting. Stuff. There's your finger painting from school today. That's awesome. It goes in the trash. Like, oh, you've brought 17 papers home this week. Guess what? I'm not keeping them all. They're going in the trash.
Well, what's funny is we kind of struggle with that a little bit too. But like my mom has kept so much stuff. I don't know. I'm like, where did you keep all this crap?
What do you? I guess that's my point. Is like, what are you gonna do with all of it when you get older? Because like my mom had some things because she was really good about kind of getting rid of the clutter as well. So it's like I want to do stuff cool for my kids that they'll want down the road. That's not something necessarily that I kept that I want. Like, what would be something that they would?
Yeah. Do they need
that they would want when they're older?
The turkey they made with their hand.
Yeah.
From
like what is
preschool?
It that they'll want?
It's gonna have some nostalgia.
Yeah. Like, and again, hopefully it's 80 years from now when I'm no longer here. It's like they can pick up something and have a fond memory. Yeah, that they have it. That whether it's something that they did or that reminds them of something they did with me or with mom or whatever. But anyways, because like I don't need another hand turkey. Like that's just gonna go in the trash. But so it's those sorts of like, or if you can have the foresight. So kudos to the parents that are like just have something that can be so meaningful.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know what that is yet.
I don't know either. My mom kept a lot of stuff, and she gave me a box of stuff recently. She's like, I figured it was time you took this stuff. I'm like, great, thanks, Mom. Some more crap for my house. Like I don't have enough stuff around.
My mom gave me mine, but it was like a folder. She was like, here, this is about all you need. And I was like,
yeah, I've got like this box, but it's like, all the sports team pictures from like back in the day, and it's like me and you playing baseball in third grade, like all this stuff, or like the Washington D.C. school picture, from that, like that big long.
Oh yeah, I got it. I got it.
We're probably standing right next to each other.
Probably, we're like one row off.
If these guys listening don't realize,
you're wearing your Jinkos.
Probably so. Maybe, sixth grade.
Exactly.
100% wearing Jinkos.
You were flapping in the wind with those things.
Yeah.
Well, you jump off a building, you would float down.
These guys may not like listening. There might be newcomers. Alex and I grew up together. Like,
I mean,
from like
primary school,
kindergarten maybe. Did you do kindergarten here? How old were you when you moved here?
Like 4.
Okay, so kindergarten on. Like we've been in the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went to
the
Presbyterian like preschool.
Right.
Mid Island. Yeah.
I think I went to that same.
I think you did too.
Yeah. So crazy. I was
Anyways,
gonna say earlier though, when you had mentioned, the video for your kids, and I was like, oh, you're probably gonna cry, and you're like, yeah, probably. Kids make you soft, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's insane how soft you can get after having kids, and things that may not have affected you being like, oh, you big, you know what I want to say, you big baby. You know, that like, here's some grown man crying about something, but then like you have kids and you're the guy crying because some sad movie.
Well,
or,
yeah, like
what,
you
you know what I mean? And you're like, because you put yourself in that position after you've had kids, or you hear about a sick kid or some kid in a tragic accident or whatever, and then you're like, what if that was my kid? And those are the things that put things into perspective for me on a regular basis. When I get mad, like I threw my phone at the wall last week, I was like, you know what? It's not that serious. Like, everyone's happy, healthy, fine. We're all here. Hurricane didn't crash our
like
house.
that was,
like, there's a lot of things that put things in perspective that you don't have to be angry about. But then there's things like that just make you soft because you put that in perspective a lot. And you're like,
and my big
dang.
thing has been like trying to make sure my kids almost see it in a way, just because I want them to have that emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That they're not any less of a person or a man or you know, because I only have boys, so I can't say female, but like, you know, that you're not less of anything to actually have emotion. Like, that's actually healthy and normal.
It is.
And so
How you
that's been
express it might be slightly bad.
yeah, like, you know, at this
worse.
stage, it's like, okay, like, you're being a little dramatic. You fell and scraped your knee. Like, get up. Like, let's move past this. But yeah, being like, you know, having some emotional intelligence there, I think it's extremely healthy.
It is. There's
Because
a future guest on the show.
Well, that's what brings in empathy too, like, and compassion. If you can relate to someone and listen to what they're going through and be able to project that on you, to be able to sympathize with them, again, have empathy, it allows you to connect as humans, and that's what, you know,
it's important.
That's what's important, or else that's why, you know, that's why it's so easy, I think, on social media for someone to just say stuff that, like, and you would never say that to someone on the street. Like, that's just like, it might not be like 100% wrong what you're saying, but it's like you would never just like go up to someone and just throw that out there. But you're not connecting with anyone because you're not looking at them, you can't see them, you can't sense their presence. It's like, I'll just throw out some abstract words out there because it's easier just to put something out there, via like a written form as opposed to actually communicating with someone. And, you know, I want my kids to have much more personal, emotional intelligence so you can actually handle the world. So the ups and the downs, as opposed to, you know, so if someone does say something mean online, you're like, well, yeah, that's a scapegoat.
Yeah. Pound sand, bro. Keyboard warriors.
Get over it.
Yeah. There's a future guest on the show that I think will have a lot to say about that. It'll be very interesting. I'm super pumped. I wish I could. I don't want to spill the beans yet.
Yes.
It's going to be good. It's going to be real good. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast.
Yes.
Just throwing that out there.
We got some great people lined up.
We have so many good people coming up. Like, it's not just going to be me and Alex.
As much as I know
the rest of the year,
listen to us.
The rest of the year is going to be a lot of really good guests. I'm super pumped about it. Finally,
hopefully we can bring a lot of value. And so if you got questions that maybe just you want different people's perspective on, not just Beav and mine, leave them in the comments.
We need to put a plan in motion of, like, we need to make sure that these guys know ahead of time so we can ask questions to these guests, because that'll be important for sure. We need to do that.
Awesome.
There's a lot of things we need to do on the podcast, but we're still doing it. We're here.
We're here.
It might be
we're
a day
trying
late,
our best,
but we've been here week after week. Might be a day or two late sometimes. If you guys hadn't noticed, like, we try to put them out on Tuesdays. Maybe you even picked up on that. Maybe you have. More often than not, they go out on Sorry, my my headphone cord just got stuck in my pocket knife. That was weird. Tuesdays we try to put the podcast out, and sometimes they're a day or two late. And but we're still here week after week. What episode is this? Like 18, I think. It's pretty good. 18 weeks. Good job. Yay us. Guys, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. As we said, there's some good stuff coming up, so make sure you subscribe, leave some reviews and ratings wherever you're watching or listening to this. We would greatly appreciate it, and see you in the next episode.